Hey friends, let's continue to talk about semiotics. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the meaning of semiotics a little bit further, as well as continue to decode this image, specifically looking at the afro, the contrast in clothing, and the smiles. So let's get into it. If you remember, semiotics is the study of signs, but what is a sign? This can be broken down into three different categories. A sign can be a symbol, an index, or an icon. We'll use a dog again for an example to kind of explain these ideas. Starting with the symbol. Symbols have to be taught. Let's look at the word dog, for example. There's no actual connection to the words and letters D-O-G to the actual animal that is a dog. Basically, once upon a time, us as civilized people were like, hey, these lines on a paper equal dog. Another example of this could be the dollar sign or the on button symbol. These things have to be taught or else people will not be able to understand. Next, let's look at an icon. Here's an icon of a dog. It resembles a dog, but it is, again, representing a larger picture of dogs as a type of animal. That one's pretty straightforward, I hope. And lastly, there's index. Index is basically something equals something. For example, if you hear a dog barking, you can safely assume that there's a dog nearby. Similarly, if you see smoke, you can assume that there might be a fire somewhere. Obviously, this is not always the same because there's lots of other things that might influence it, but it's a way of representing and something that can be thought of as one thing leads to another. That's how I think of it, at least. So that was just a quick overview. So let's just jump right in and get back to decoding the image. I recorded this part earlier, so outfit change. Let's look at the white male in the center of this image. He's wearing a collared shirt, a tie, a suit, just like several other people in the image itself. Right off the bat, this creates a huge contrast between him and the young black male model in the shot. His counterpart is wearing a bomber jacket, turtleneck, and sweatpants. He looks dope, but the contrast is pretty heavy. Historically, a suit has been used to show power and masculinity. At one point, it was used to separate social classes and structures. In modern times, both men and women wear these suits. It's kind of like the corporate uniform, if you will. These ideas, I feel like, are definitely being presented as meaning based on how harsh of a contrast there is between the main white model and the main black model. Okay, now let's shift from the old white guy and look at the young black male. He's got a couple very identifiable qualities that definitely possibly have greater, deeper meaning. Let's start with his hair, styled like an afro. During the 60s and 70s in America, this hairstyle, this natural hairstyle, was all the rage. It was a symbol for many different things, in particular black pride. Many black people during this time sported this hairstyle as a way to oppose the whitewashed norms of beauty standards. Outside of a powerful fashion statement, this also was very well associated with the Black Panther Party. During this time, coverage of the Black Panthers were super negative. They were calling them thugs, they were calling them criminals. Their presence was portrayed in this horrible way. It kind of reminds me of how someone else is referring to black people right now. I wish I could remember who. To piggyback off of what I was just saying in that other video from the other day, afros were also shown in black films called blaxploitation films. So these were really strong black movies in like the 70s and 80s where a lot of people were wearing afros. Think about Shaft, Superfly, and even spoof movies like Black Dynamite. You should watch it, it's hilarious. But this was another area where black people were trying to like reclaim the image of how we were being portrayed in the media. Unfortunately, there were really strong themes in a lot of these movies which just didn't quite take, and there's not a whole lot of these movies anymore. So let's move on. So the last thing I want to decode in this video is the smiling. And while a lot of people might think, oh yeah, they're smiling, that's like a good thing, there's, again, like everything else, a lot of different meaning and a lot of different connotations that can be associated with it. This interaction suggests that both people are very happy, everyone's having a good time, everything's super chill, right? Maybe. Smiling actually used to represent a separation in classes, almost to say that if you couldn't control your emotions that you were less than, right? Think about all the old portraits from like historical anything, right? Nobody's smiling. Think about high fashion models. Nobody smiles. It's because this goes back to when smiling was disapproved, like people didn't like it, and the fact that they're smiling in this is a very interesting it shows a very interesting contrast to what you might expect from something like this. Furthermore, in Black culture, there's definitely a undertone of like the cool pose. Similarly to like super old dudes in paintings, you generally don't see, maybe you do now, but maybe back in the day you wouldn't see as many famous Black people smiling. They would do what quote unquote, mean mugging, as seen here, 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 here. The examples go on and on and on. And this, from the research I did, lends to a couple different reasonings. Some would say it's a coping mechanism to mask vulnerability and try to exude confidence and dignity. So the fact that Gucci is doing the opposite of the norm when it comes to a Black person's smile is actually, in my opinion, a good thing. It's showing them and saying, hey, it's cool to smile. It is okay if they want to. No one needs to smile, of course. So in that regard, that's pretty awesome. By the way, I should mention, the campaign is called The Handshake, and they're promoting a watch. In these videos, have you even seen the watch they might be promoting? Obviously, it's in the center of the image because it's like the focal point, but it's obviously a very small part in what is a potentially huge story that is being told by this one single image. As usual, I'm sharing this information to help you think about things in a different way, to acknowledge that there's a lot of different life experiences out there, and we all need to maybe pause even for a half a second and be like, how might someone else be thinking about this, and take that into consideration. If you're enjoying these videos, please like, comment, share, and find me on YouTube if you'd like, and subscribe there as well. I used to make a lot of other cool content. So if you want to take a break from all this Rachel. So feel free to check me out on there. I have a cool thing I'm planning to announce in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Remember, keep having those conversations, especially those tough conversations, and yeah, that's it. Peace out.